Hello and welcome into episode number 7 of Endless Ranting. I'm your host, Hogdale, and dude, we're out here. And my first note in my notebook is LMFAO. There's still not anything fucking happening. I mean, especially, at least in my universe, where I am a fan, primarily of Boston sports teams, with like one exception. Like the Boston Red Sox. It's just, in wider baseball, nothing has happened. Nothing of intrigue has happened. I think the most interesting thing that has happened this week in terms of baseball is fucking Max Scherzer signing with the Toronto Blue Jays, which I'll get into more later with what I think of the Blue Jays with their offseason so far, but who gives a fuck? Genuinely, who gives a fuck about the Toronto Blue Jays? Loser team, vibeless franchise, they stink. But, I mean, I was able, to scrounge together some things to talk about. I think we can put together a relatively nice show here. I'm looking forward to having some fun with the gang, with the team who's decided to come out today. And we're going to start with some baseball. We're going to start with some baseball because I saw a quote earlier this week that annoyed me. I do definitely want to say that this quote annoyed me because it's just... There's a quote from Hal Steinbrenner, owner of the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees. You know the ones that have the 27 rings that their fans won't shut the fuck up about. That one. The supposed evil empire. That team. The New York Yankees. You remember them? Know them? Aware of them? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? To quote Jay Leno. Per Hal Steinbrenner on the Dodgers, it's difficult for most of us owners to be able to do the kinds of things they're doing. We'll see if it pays off. They still have to have a season relatively injury-free for it to work out for them. Now, that's the kind of quote that you would expect in, the year 2000 from, I don't know, pick a random mediocre fucking team. Like the Minnesota Twins' owner to talk about, in regards to the Yankees stacking themselves up. It's just hard for us to match their resources and what they can do. Us, the little guy, we just can't compete. It's so hard for us out there. And, we're bleeding hearts out here. The big bad Dodgers outspent us, and that's the reason they won the World Series over us, guys. And, it's so hard. It's so tough, as he says, playing to the accompaniment of the world's smallest violin. Dude, it's what this quote, I almost couldn't believe it when I first saw it. I just thought it was so fucking funny. The idea that the New York Yankees, once the evil empire of baseball, debatably the evil empire of all of sports, one of the most consistently dominant teams ever, are crying because the Dodgers are outspending them. Again, the Yankees, the team with the most revenue in the sport. No team brings in more money on a per year basis than the New York Yankees. And I've seen some people in some chats talk to me where they talk about, the Dodgers TV deal brings in way more money than the Yankees TV deal. And they have Ohtani. And okay, fine, that's true. But in terms of overall revenue, the Yankees are still clearing out the Dodgers. The Yankees are still clearing out literally every other team in baseball. They sit number 1. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hear, again, from the New York fucking Yankees about how hard your life is. What are you talking about? You're upset because you're the bronze medal in the sport right now in terms of spending, and you just can't match the capital? Give me a fucking... Dude, exactly, poor little Yankees per Zoidberger in the chat. It just sickens me. I just hate where we are at in the sport in regards to this shit where you get a guy like Hal Steinbrenner unironically coming out to the media and talking about how hard it is for them to fucking compete with the Dodgers in terms of spending. Give me a fucking break. No one wants to hear from you. No one wants to hear from you. My apologies, not for you, from you. It brings me into a wider conversation about baseball, because there's been a lot of discussion recently with the money that the Dodgers have been giving out about the potential of a lockout coming forward here in the next couple of years, a work stoppage of sorts to stop this out. Which, by the way, can I just say, extremely funny that there would be a lockout over the Dodgers' actions when genuinely it's an owner choosing to pay players. No one is putting a gun to these owners' heads and saying, you have to spend money. You have to spend $8 billion in deferred money, you piece of shit, or I'm going to blow your brains out. No one's saying that. Your owners are basically going to, have a lockout because they can't help themselves, which is extremely funny. So Alex said, can we put guns to their heads? Mostly John Henry. For legal reasons, that's a joke. For legal reasons, that's a joke. But in terms of the lockout, looking forward when we're thinking about this, what is the main problem in baseball? What is the biggest problem in baseball? Me personally, I would say it's that, 10 to 15 teams every year are in a state of rebuild where they aren't even looking to be competitive. That's what I would say is the biggest problem with baseball. The fact that these owners for these small market teams are content to not pay any salary towards players and just watch the revenue, not the revenue, but the net value of their team go because that's what happens when you own a sports team. It's one of the most guaranteed investments in sports. It's why so many rich dudes look to buy sports clubs, because it's one of the easiest investments of all time. As long as your league isn't run by complete fucking nincompoops, then you're gonna double or triple the amount of money that you put into your sports team. Like NFL example, Robert Kraft bought the New England Patriots. One second, I'm gonna look this up. How much did Robert Kraft buy the Patriots for? It was something tiny. He paid $172 million for the New England Patriots. New England Patriots net worth. Net worth. Team is now worth $7.4 billion according to Forbes. That's like what? Like fucking 100xing your money? Maybe even more than that? And like that's football, but like even if you look at like a smaller option of say, I'm trying to think of teams that like were bought and sold for. Okay. So, like the Orioles, what were they recently sold for? The Baltimore Orioles. Sale price. Baltimore Orioles were sold for $1.725 billion. Insane amount of money. What were the Baltimore Orioles worth? In 2000. The Orioles in the year 2000. Let me see. I love when I'm trying to make a point on the internet, and then like the team I give an example of, it's like, actually, we don't have the numbers for this. How about in 2010, you fucking piece of shit website? You really do gotta love it. $376 million in the year 2010. So that's only 15 years ago. And the Orioles have basically, quadrupled their net worth. And that's just over the course of a decade. So, like, it kind of shows you how easy of an investment a sports team is. It's just, the value is going to skyrocket. And I think we all know, like, from 2010 to 2025, yeah, the Orioles were relevant for a little bit, but you can't exactly say they've been one of the elite teams in baseball. They haven't been fucking close to one of the elite premier teams in Major League Baseball. So, I just want to highlight the point. I hate when people talk about the Dodgers and them spending, or Steve Cohen and the Mets and him spending like that's the problem. The problem has always been these owners don't want to spend any money. The problem has always been like what the A's are doing. It's 50 million times more fucking heinous than like what the Dodgers are doing. Where like the A's this year are now like they've spent money literally because they've hit the point in the CBA where if they spend no money, they aren't going to get revenue sharing anymore. So they're only spending to continue to get revenue sharing. As per Alex said, that's exactly what I was getting to. I care so much more about a salary floor as opposed to a salary cap. Because most of the league already treats the CBT, like the first threshold, like it is a salary cap. And the second, third ones like are, more and more taxing. They already use those as a cap. Like I care so much more about a floor than a cap. I'm sorry, paying players is a good thing. Sorry to get very pro-labor, pro-union on you guys. Opening your third eye and shit. Salary caps in sports, for the most part, exist to artificially keep the wages of players down. That's what they exist for. Like in the NHL, that's what it's used for. Guys, quick question for you. How much money per year does the highest paid NHL player make? I'll give you a second. How much? I'm pretty sure I know this off the top of my head, but I'm going to double check it. How much does the highest paid NHL player make? Yeah, I know this because he's on my team. Yeah, the NHL is now booming cap-wise. Now, I gave you a couple minutes to think about that. The highest paid player in the league this year in the NHL is Austin Matthews for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He makes $13.2 million. For reference, what does the average NBA bench player make? Average NBA bench player salary. The average NBA bench player makes between $15 and $25 million. So the highest paid player in the NHL makes the lowest end of what the median bench player makes in the NBA. The salary cap in the NHL hasn't moved in years now. It's just now within the next 3 years starting to exponentially grow. Football, it's not as big a problem anymore just because of how big of a sport football is and how it's the biggest media empire on planet Earth right now. So the cap it seems like every couple of years just goes just fucking skyrockets. So it doesn't hamper them as much. Baseball is a sport where it's always kind of medianly growing. Thing is, if you're adding a salary cap into baseball, the highest end players are still going to make the money that they're probably going to be worth. The median player is going to get absolutely fucking squeezed. You cannot have the current arbitration system. You cannot have the arbitration system as it currently stands right now if the MLB goes to a cap league. Absolutely not. These guys aren't hitting free agency on average till they're fucking 30. These guys are usually waiting until they're 30 to hit free agency. And in a cap system where now your wages are being artificially suppressed because teams are trying to, build in accordance to a fake salary structure that they made up. It just doesn't work. Everything needs to be overhauled. Per what Alex said in the chat, owners want a cap and want ARB. I'm sorry. Baseball's players union, they should lose a whole season if to stop that from happening. There's not a fucking chance in hell that fucking you can have a league where you have a hard cap and arbitration. Plus, MLB owners, they'd want a cap and no floor. They'd have a salary cap and then, completely skirt a floor, which is way, way, way more fucking important than, what's going on at the higher end spending. I'm sorry, it just is. In terms of a salary cap, I completely just lost my train of thought. If they'd pay guys $7.25 an hour if they could, any employer everywhere is going to pay you as little as they can. That's how billionaires operate. They're trying to exploit you. They pay you fucking 3 cents an hour if they were legally allowed to. That is a objective fact. These motherfuckers do not care about you, and they'd throw you into a meat grinder if it meant that they could extort you for another fucking, $1.25 towards their mega yacht. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit, and that's fine. That's how they operate, but we just need to understand and, visualize how these guys operate and kind of, roll with the punches, move with it. You just got to acknowledge these guys' nature. See, in terms of the cap, I don't like it. I think this labor shortage stoppage, potentially, if it does happen, if the owners are dead set on it, I think it'll last a long time. I would say, though, baseball's union, in terms of its record against the owners, probably has the best and most progressive, in terms of, forward-thinking outlook, as opposed to literally any other sport. The NFL broke the NFLPA over their fucking knee like Batman and like Bane did to Batman. They broke that union during the last lockout in 2010 to 2012. And the NFLPA has been fucked basically in every single CBA negotiation in the modern era. Take what I just said about the NFL and do that to the NHL 50-fold. The NHLPA is probably the worst PA in all of sports. The people who advocate for them do not give a single solitary fuck about the average player. And the NBA PA usually has a good track record, but they got fucked over big time in the last CBA. They got bent over a fucking barrel. Terrible performance during the last CBA. Remember, the MLB PA is the reason why free agency exists in sports. That was the MLB PA's doing. That was them having a strike and figuring that out. They were some of the pioneers. And obviously it makes sense with how old a sport baseball is. They were pioneers in terms of players' rights in regards to sports. So, like, and the thing is, like, when you're thinking about these owners, how long do they truly want a work stoppage to go? Because truly, I feel like the owners would be kind of split on this issue. Especially in the situation where there is a cap and, like, there needs to be a floor. These guys aren't going to, half of the teams, like 15 of the teams in the league are not going to want a floor. Like, again, they're content to sit there, pay nothing, and watch the value of the team skyrocket. That is what they want to do. That is absolutely what they want to do. So in a situation where a cap is pitched and the players are rightfully like, hey, there's a cap, there needs to be a floor, then I don't know how long the stoppage would be, because I don't know how many owners would be intrigued or gung-ho about going that far. Like, how discontented is the average team truly with the current system? I really feel like it isn't that fucking bad. I really feel like in terms of, like, owners are in a very good spot right now on average. In terms of, like, competitive balance, there hasn't been a repeat champion since the Yankees in the early 2000s. Or so, like, between, like, 1999 and 2000. That was the last time a repeat champion has happened in baseball. I mean, keep in mind, in football, that hasn't happened, in football, that's been happening very frequently recently. The Chiefs are on the verge of a three-peat. The Patriots won back-to-back 03-04. And then also the Patriots dominated for a decade. And the Chiefs are also the Patriots dominated for 2 decades. And the Chiefs are about to do the same thing. What a salary cap does in sports, other than artificially keeping player wages down, is that in a way it does increase parity and in a way it doesn't. The way it, the way it does increase parity is that the teams that can dominate the sport do not have to be a coastal power. Like, in the NBA, you are never going to see a team from fucking Kansas City have a dynasty. That's never going to happen. It'll never happen ever. And meanwhile, in the NFL, small market teams all the time are dominating. The Chiefs are right now. They'd be considered a smaller market. Even name the teams that are good right now. Buffalo's a good team. They'd be considered a smaller market. They're a smaller market like in the NHL. And in MLB, obviously, usually in a non-salary cap league, it's the coastal teams, the coastal powers are usually what reign supreme. But even that's not. I'm going to pull up the list of World Series winners because I want to see how true how much that gets proven via that. Obviously, there's been a couple teams that have won multiple times. So the Red Sox have won 4 this century. The Giants have won 3. List of World Series winners. Because I'm kind of curious to go through this thought exercise. So let's go from 2025 to the year 1995. Or 2024 to 1995. Obviously, there's the Dodgers, the Rangers, the Astros, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Nationals, the Sox, the Astros, the Cubs, the Royals, the Giants, the Red Sox, the Giants, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Red Sox, the Cardinals, the White Sox, the Red Sox, the Marlins, the Angels, the Diamondbacks, and then it's Yankee, Marlins, Yankees, Braves. In that time period, obviously, there's been a lot of coastal teams, thriving. Obviously, the Dodgers won multiple, the Red Sox won multiple. But in terms of smaller market teams, let me see. The Cubs are not a small market, but they're a Midwest team. In terms of small market, the White Sox. It's like what, the White Sox and the Royals? Definitely the Royals. The Royals would be considered a smaller market team. The Cardinals are a mid-market team. So, in terms of money, usually you do have to be the higher end in baseball. In baseball, unilaterally, you need to be a very well-run team. You need to be a very smart-run team. It's not the same team winning every year, though. It just hasn't been. The argument for a salary cap is it allows these smaller market teams to be dominant in a way that is literally impossible currently. The Rays. The Rays have made multiple World Series. They never won it, though. 20 different teams have won the World Series since 1995 per Didatic Jam. LMFAO. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. 20 different teams. That's most of the league. There's 30 teams in Major League Baseball. 20 of the 30. That's a good fucking ratio. You need to be well run and lucky. Exactly. So, listen. If there's a work stoppage, I'm not going to be very happy. And it's going to suck, and it might last a while. I saw someone earlier ask, if there's a potential, would there be a strike? I don't think that players are unhappy enough in the current system to strike. I don't think there's anything major for them to go to strike over at the current moment. The owners definitely have a reason to lock the door if they really do want, with every fiber of there being a salary cap. I don't think the MLBPA will break, though. I really don't. I have faith in them. I think they are a very well-run players association for the most part. I thought they got a decent deal during the last CBA. Honestly, the best thing that Major League Baseball did on the owners' end during the last CBA was push forward those rule changes. And obviously, the worst thing about the last CBA was the kind of the gutting of the minor league system and how the minor leagues are kind of run. So it wasn't a net positive for everyone. You need to make concessions on both parts, obviously. But I believe in the MLBPA's ability to negotiate. I believe that they aren't going to get fucking steamrolled over. And yeah, man, I just don't talk to me about. Basically, just don't ever fucking talk to me about teams spending money being the problem. It's never teams spending the money. It's always teams not spending enough. The reason why the NFL is great with their salary cap is, one, the cap is never usually a gigantic detriment because of the exponential growth of the sport. So the cap is always going up consistently. Other reason the NFL is fantastic is because of its floor. Its floor makes it so that every team has the incentive to go out there and win. Because no matter what, these owners have a sunk cost of, well, we need to put this much money forward in terms of payroll every year. So they're much more vigilant in firing incompetent, dumb pieces of shit and trying to make the team better in the long run. The investment on the front end from owners is always consistent, where baseball's it isn't. The only way I'll hear about a cap is if there is a floor. If there's no floor, or even if there is a floor and there's no arbitration system, I don't want to fucking hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. What if MLB implemented a draft system like the NFL? Honestly, I think the draft right now is fine as it currently stands. In baseball, drafting just is not, and probably never will be, an exact science. There's too many variables in baseball when you're picking guys, especially because you're usually getting dudes out of high school who are extremely volatile. I just don't think it's necessary. I think the lottery system right now is completely fine. I don't mind the way the MLB draft is set up at all. Also, every NFL team has at least one player worth a damn. Baseball does not have that. No, that is very true, Alex. But part of the reason why baseball is beautiful is because that's entirely up to how competent or incompetent the individual team is. Well, you can be a team with no money, and still, if you are investing wisely in the little money you do spend into a scouting network, then you should be able to find players that are worth a shit. Because in the international pool, or during the draft, which is 1 billion fucking rounds, where you're picking hundreds of players over the course of months. Hundreds of players. You're scouring over hundreds of players in terms of international free agency, and then combined with the draft. If you can't find any talent, that's because you guys are terrible at your job. If you can't find anyone, you're a poorly run team. You need to be well run in baseball. Baseball truly does incentivize the smartest teams to win. It incentivizes you to be as smart and as cutting edge as you possibly can be. So yeah, that's where I'm sitting at in terms of the salary cap discussion. I feel like it's a good talking point. Hopefully I didn't fucking rubber band zigzag around too much. I thought it was fun for the most part. Honestly, I was able to pull way more out of that than I thought I was going to. Let me move forward to some other baseball stuff. The Toronto Blue Jays, I mentioned them earlier. They signed Max Scherzer during this last couple days to potentially be a closer for them. Maybe a closer. Might be a starter. I don't know. I think it's very funny that the Blue Jays, for the most part, have been struggling to get the highest end free agents to take their money because they are a vibeless loser team that I think has no prospects of doing anything serious. I think they have a 0% chance of winning anything of significance over the next half decade. And they're talking about Vlad potentially being extended. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't believe he'll stay. I think he'll go. I think he doesn't like it there. I think he thinks they're a loser franchise that is poorly run, and he's correct for thinking that way. Listen, Anthony Santander, he signed with there obviously as well, a couple weeks ago now. In my opinion, purely because it is the Toronto Blue Jays, he's going to Toronto, I think that contract is it gives me the vibes of it's going to be a completely dog shit contract. Nothing against Santander. I think he's a good player. It just the vibes there are off. To me, that seems like the contract you give out to a mid-level guy that by mid-season you think is like one of the worst contracts on the team. I have no real statistical evidence to back this up. This is purely just a vibe report. I'm like 95% positive that Anthony Santander is going to be a terrible Toronto Blue Jay. I absolutely think that. I think it's just going to be like one of those random guys where you sign him and he turns into a fucking pumpkin. Because that team, like, again, if you were paying attention to the Blue Jays last year and like how their own fans were talking about the team, they hated this team. Like, the Blue Jays fans despise the Toronto Blue Jays, maybe even more than I do, which is impressive because I take basically every other spare breath of my time to shit on the Toronto Blue Jays because I think they're fucking a loser franchise with no aura, a bunch of fat losers, triple stack fucking, Dave's triple stack over at Wendy's. Like, that's what their main meal is every single day. I'll get to Ryan Brazier later, CMD. I will talk about that. But I basically just want to use this segment to say, like, I think the Santander contract isn't going to be good. I don't think the Blue Jays this year are going to be good at all. I've seen some people say, oh, their roster is low-key decent. They could win 80 games. I think the Blue Jays will be a 75-win team. I don't think they're very good. I think they have awful vibes. I think they're horribly managed. I think that their GM has no fucking idea what he's doing. I think they're a terrible team. I think they're a horribly run team with bad vibes. I do not believe they're going to be a good team. I have no fucking, faith that they're going to be a good team. So I just want to put this here because I want to be correct. I want to put this forward for later because I want to see how good my prediction abilities are. I want to see myself be correct in like 4 or 5 months when the Blue Jays are bad because I'm very 95% positive they're going to be bad. Hey, I like Canadians, Bobby. Bobby said Canadians are weird. I love Canadians. Like, we have a Canadian in this chat, and he's a beautiful man. I love him. Great guy. Now we get to Ryan Brazier. DFA'd by the Dodgers. The Dodgers, with their super pitching staff and their super bullpen, looked at Ryan Brazier and said, we don't need you anymore. Andy and Toy Story dropping Woody. Get the fuck off of our baseball team. Ryan Brazier. And I put a tweet out about this. I said, we all know where this ends. Because we need another bullpen arm. And we need another good bullpen arm, or solid bullpen arm. And Ryan Brazier played for this team, and he figured something out when he went to the Dodgers. And I'm just like letting you guys know he's going to be a Red Sox. I'm letting you know Ryan Brazier is going to be a Red Sox. I would be shocked if Ryan Brazier was not a Red Sox by next week. Absolutely shocked. And listen, Ryan Brazier was very, very good with the Dodgers. He could be good with the Red Sox again. I mean, listen, he might come to Boston. You have Andrew Bailey here. He, ideally isn't Dave Bush, so he'll know how to actually utilize a pitcher's arsenal to its max capacity. So listen, I'm not dumping completely on Ryan Brazier. I'm not going to shit on the move. Well, I am going to shit on it a little bit because I'm going to put a tweet out saying you're not being the garbage, the dumpster diving allegations, because they still aren't and they still haven't. Like, I will continue to shit on the Red Sox until they actually put forward a long-term extension and spend some real fucking money. But in terms of like Ryan Brazier coming back, which he's probably going to do, I can live with it. I'm not going to throw too much of a bitch fit about it. I'll be a little snarky, but I'm not gonna shit my pants over it, man. I'm not gonna shit my pants over it. He's gonna be completely fine. I like Ryan Brazier. I think he could be good for us. Maybe he'll be terrible. We'll figure it out. It's all part of the move. All part of the move. As far as some other stuff that has come out in the last couple weeks, in what appears to be a way to softly gear people into the idea that, in fact, Alex Bregman is not coming to the Red Sox. Red Sox management has made it pretty well known over the last couple weeks that they are more than comfortable with Christian Campbell starting on the opening day roster. I'd say good, obviously. Even if Bregman was here, Campbell should be on the opening day roster. Truthfully, if Bregman isn't here, Campbell and Anthony should both be on the opening day roster. And I guess just to get into it, I'm tired of the Red Sox jerking us around, man. Because, like, listen, if Craig truly is just like, I don't want Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman wants too much money. I don't want Alex Bregman. That is a completely fine mindset to have. There are arguments to have against signing Alex Bregman. Commit. Commit to the youth movement then. Because if you're not going to put the money forward, if you're not going to spend the fucking money, the least you can do is advance the youth movement, start Christian Campbell, obviously opening day, start Roman Anthony. Let them figure it out early on. Let them struggle early. Get these struggles out of the way so that by the time we're having important at-bats later in the season, that they can be studs for us. I think the youth movement is a completely acceptable way to build this team going forward. And if Breslow truly does not like Bregman, truly does not like see his vision of the future, doesn't think he's going to be a very good baseball player in a couple years here, I get it. But stop jerking us around and commit to the youth. Just commit to the fucking youth. Stop with the bullshit and pick a direction. I don't want this fucking half-in, half-out garbage. We come opening day and, no Bregman, and you have Campbell, then not Anthony. Why? What does Anthony have to prove in AAA? Fucking all? He has nothing to prove there. There's nothing anyone in this chat, anyone anywhere that could tell me that Roman Anthony has something to prove. He doesn't. I'm sorry, I've seen the advanced numbers in AAA. I've seen the regular numbers in AAA. I've seen the tape. I've seen what every Red Sox, person in terms of scouting who has any half of a brain, what they say about this guy. They think he's pretty fucking good, and they think he's ready to go. So let's go. Get him up here and let's move. Oh, he's only 20. Yeah, and you're fucking bitchless and a virgin. Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. Let's get... There's nothing for him to review. Oh, he might be Jackson Holiday. Yeah, Jackson Holiday wasn't the only young guy to ever come up and play early on for a fucking baseball team. I'm sorry, dude. There have been success stories. I'm so not afraid at all to bring Roman Anthony up. Bring him up here. Let the fucking kids play. And let's, we keep talking about the future. We talk about the future. The future is now. The future is now bring Roman Anthony up. Let's go. He needs to play every day if he comes up. Trading Abreu would be the only way to do that? No, he wouldn't. Roman Anthony can play in left. Willier in right. Duran in center. Cedon is a super utility now. Because why am I sitting anyone behind Cedon Rafaela? He did not play well enough last year with the bat to justify being an everyday starter. He didn't. Cedon is cool. I think his contract is not that bad at all. I think it's overblown how bad it is. It really isn't that much money at all. But yeah, you can play Roman every day. You just play him at left field. I like Rafaela too, but he's not better than Anthony. He won't ever be better than Anthony is. At least not in my opinion. He might be. Maybe we'll figure it out. I view him decently higher than Abreu. See, thing is, I've been on the train of I don't know why Willier is still here. And I like Willier. I think Willier is very good. But I don't know why he's here. Don't ask me why he's here. It just makes too much sense for them to have moved him, but they haven't done it. So I'm guessing they just haven't found a move that makes sense at all. But you are right that there aren't that many roster spots, and Willier probably should have been traded. I agree. Willier probably should have been traded. But I'm Anthony left field, and I'm fucking sitting with Campbell at second. And if for some reason they aren't bringing Roman up, no, he isn't. Someone in the chat, Alex in the chat said Masa is still here. I don't give a fuck about Masataka Yoshida. I'm not letting Masataka Yoshida dictate what I'm doing with the members of this team that are actually going to contribute to us eventually winning a World Series. I don't give a single fuck about Masataka Yoshida. To quote Nick Saban, in terms of Masataka Yoshida, it's I'm not gonna, so quit asking. I'm not gonna care about Masataka Yoshida. Stop fucking no. Masa is he kind of untradeable? A little, but if they threw a prospect with him, I bet he'd become a lot more fucking tradable. If you ate $8 million of Masa's salary and just moved $10 million per year off the book, it'd be worth it. Masataka, who gives a fuck about Masataka? Fine, let him stay DH then. I think the talk of him playing in left field is complete and utter horse shit. I remember they said that during Fenway Fest, we'd like to see him play the field. I think they're completely lying and full of shit. They're trying to pump up his value to get some sucker team to buy on him. Which, by the way, his value wouldn't be this low if the Red Sox had taken heed to my fucking advice during the goddamn season when I said they were torpedoing his trade value by trading him a part-time platoon DH. And, just let him play. in the outfield every once in a while. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. I said it was going to wreck his value, and hey, lo and behold, it wrecked his fucking value. Like, come on, dude. Like, I saw this shit coming from 100 miles away, and they're reaping what they fucking sow. There's no... Dude, I brought this up over and over again the last couple weeks on Pod by the River. 2012, Adrian Gonzalez trade. The Boston Red Sox, in one deal, moved $250 million of salary. $250 million. And you're telling me you're not creative enough to move $18 million a year of Masataka Yoshida. You can't find one team to take $18 million a year of Masataka Yoshida. You just have no fucking way. You can't even fathom a way to figure this out. You're like, I'm sorry, dude. Just get in the lab and get more fucking creative. Be better at your job. I don't know, man. Genuinely be better at your fucking job. Flip Willier for Paredes and let the Astros sign Bregman. We're here. Doesn't Paredes suck at like every position defensively? Because they want to get better defensively. And I like where the team's sitting at right now in terms of defense. I mean, he's an infielder, but at the same time, like, get Myers coming up. Like, you're going to want to play Meyer at some point in the year. Like, I'm far from giving up on Marcelo Meyer, and it appears the Red Sox believe the same way. And I think they should be treating it like that. I think Meyer's still a great prospect. I think people who are crying about injury concerns for a literal fucking like 22-year-old is like are insane. I think you're insane. Breslow and Kennedy are coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb level. Like, dude, it's just ridiculous, man. Meyer truther here. I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you be a Meyer truther? He's a young guy, extremely athletic. Everyone calms into Corey Seager. And Corey Seager got hurt like a billion fucking times within his first 5 years in the big leagues because he was a bigger body playing shortstop. Or he had injury problems like going in early in his career. So yeah, you're shocked that like Marcelo Meyer is also having injury problems despite being a direct comp to Corey Seager. Like, just grow a brain. Grow a fucking brain. Like I was saying earlier though, if they don't play Anthony in opening day, then honestly, I think you should be playing Campbell left field and playing like Vaughn Grissom at second base, so at least you can see what he's doing. Or like what he has. Like if they're so insistent that Roman just has to stay in AAA, you at least got to play Vaughn and Kristen Campbell. You got to play both of them. And like, listen, I've garnered the reputation as a Vaughn Grissom hater. Half truthfully so. I mean, truthfully, half of the time I'm kind of trolling with it. Because truthfully, if you're bringing up Vaughn Grissom to me as a way to not play Kristen Campbell, who gives a fuck? I think I said I'd throw Vaughn Grissom into a wood chipper on the last Pod by the River in order to fertilize the ground that Kristen Campbell stands on. But you can play both of them. Like, Campbell is extremely versatile. You just play Campbell in left field and play Grissom at second. So, like, listen. I don't despise Vaughn Grissom. He might be a useful player on this team. I just don't believe his ability in terms of potential in comparison to the, more highly touted prospects on the team. I don't think he's anywhere close to Anthony. He's nowhere close to Campbell. He's just not fucking close. And if you're using Vaughn Grissom as a reason to keep a guy like Christian Campbell in AAA, I think you're a fucking joker and an idiot. I truly, truly do. Now let me move on. We got some good Sox talk in here. We need to move on forward to some interesting story out of San Diego. It appears that the San Diego Padres are trying to move heaven and earth to get Xander Bogearts the fuck off of their baseball team. And listen, this is understandable. When Xander signed that contract with the Padres, we all wanted Xander to come back to the Sox. We did. But when he signed that contract with the Padres, we said, okay, bye. We all laughed. We all laughed and said, yeah, absolutely fucking not. In no universe would we give him that salary. Not a chance in hell. No. Not even a little bit. But being mad at the Red Sox at the time was so understandable because he never should have gotten to free agency. If you had just given him a real offer to extend him like a year prior, Xander would still be on the Boston Red Sox today. Like, he'd still be here. That's an objective fucking truth. Like, that's why they're an idiot team. But, like, in terms of free agency, like, when he signed away, like, yeah, bye. Get the hell out of here. Like, 11 years, like, $260 million, I think it was what it was. Like, absolutely fucking not. No. I'm pulling Xander's contract up right now because I've seen some people make the idea of, like, Well, the Padres are willing to attach a prospect. I think some people said Ethan Salas. 11 years, $280 million. I'm sorry, absolutely not. That's one of the worst contracts in baseball. One of the worst contracts I've ever seen. That's so bad. That is such a bad salary. Xander has 9 more years left on this contract at $190 million. Like, that's insane. And, like, listen, if the Sox, like, wanted to trade for Xander, pay half the contract, take the Story contract, give us Salas, I'm here. Would I despise that move? No. I mean, if you're moving off a Story, plus we love Xander, I think Xander would play a lot better here. But to me, honestly, if I'm looking at the Padres, you're looking at a team that does not want to pay players right now because of kind of a succession kind of deal in ownership. You're not trading for Xander Bogearts. And I think you guys all know where I'm going with this. Because me and my cohorts on Pod by the River and before that, the Pesky Report, have been on this idea forever. Because the Padres have always kind of had a weird relationship with Fernando Tatis Jr. Fernando Tatis Jr. should be the guy that you are putting your entire fucking laser sight on. That is the guy. The Padres do not want to pay salary right now. And Fernando Tatis Jr. has the highest salary on the team. Now, if you're a competent team that has any idea what you're doing, you do not move Fernando Tatis Jr. But in a situation like the Padres, to quote like Coley Mick on Section 10, these are exactly the kind of guys that you need to be robbing. These guys are primed for getting absolutely fucking robbed by a team that has half of a brain. The Red Sox need to be that team with half of a brain. That's what you need to do. You need to go to the Padres and find a way to make Fernando Tatis Jr. a Boston Red Sox. You find a way to do it. In terms of like prospects, I'd be willing to give up Campbell plus for Fernando Tatis Jr. You hope maybe one day Christian Campbell becomes 75% of what Fernando Tatis Jr. is. Fuck, dude, I'd do Roman Anthony for Fernando Tatis Jr. 1-for-1. Genuinely. I don't know if if people think I'm an insane person for that, but fucking Tatis is a righty. Tatis would rake at Fenway. Electric athlete. One of the best defenders in the sport. Dominican. I would fucking move heaven and earth to make Fernando Tatis Jr. a fucking Boston Red Sox. Plus his contract, I say it's the highest paid, I'm pretty sure, on the Padres in terms of like total money. But in terms of what he's making per year, it's nothing, I'm pretty sure. It's like $30 million, is it not? Fernando Tatis Jr. contract. Pulling up right now, it's 14 years, $340 million. That is how much per year against the luxury tax? That is a $24 million, basically a $25 million a year if you round up luxury tax hit. I'm sorry, you need to get him. $25 million a year for Fernando Tatis fucking Jr. Are you kidding me? Move heaven and earth to get this guy. You might not even have to because, again, the Padres don't want to pay salary right now. They are in ownership fluctuation. You need to take advantage of these guys. Take advantage of these guys and rob them for Fernando Tatis Jr. fucking immediately. You got to do it. Absolutely have to do it. This is a guy I've wanted as a Red Sox for years now. I think he would thrive at Fenway Park. He would be a perfect Red Sox. Plus, the perfect Dominican righty to pair with Rafael Devers. So, yeah, that's my pitch. I just need to put that out there. Go rob the Padres. The Padres are ripe for the taking. Rob them at gunpoint. They are fucking losers. Other news. Let me go back to the Red Sox here for a second. There's a mutual interest, apparently. It's kind of been reinforced that the Red Sox and Garrett Crochet are both interested in getting an extension done, which is very encouraging to hear. I'm basically like 100% certain they're going to get an extension worked out. If you hear teams like talking about this and like where both parties are like, yeah, we're interested, I'd be shocked if he's not extended by opening day. Or like going into spring training, I could absolutely see this deal getting done. My anxiety about Garrett Crochet's extension is basically zero at this point. I think they're going to get him extended. I think they're going to get the deal done. And I think it's going to be the thing that brings us a bit of pre-opening day optimism. And I look forward to that because I could use that. I honestly don't know if the Red Sox are done in terms of like their offseason plan. Because even if they're not done in free agency, like I said, the trade market is still a thing. Like I said, look into Tatis, look into a bunch of other things. Maybe like a Seiya Suzuki from the the Cubs, if you want to get him in terms of right-handed bat. But I don't know. Not getting Bregman does not have to be the end of the world. There's other options. We still have time here before I get really irate about the Red Sox offseason. Surely they had a pen arm before they're done. Ryan Brazier. We've been over this. It's Ryan Brazier. Ryan Brazier is the bullpen arm. Ryan Brazier is the bullpen arm. Sorry to say, brother. It's just it is. Say in left, I'd rather than Bregman. I mean, yeah, I don't mind that. I think Seiya Suzuki could absolutely rake for the Boston Red Sox. I would be more than happy if Seiya Suzuki ended up on the Red Sox. I think he'd be a very good player. Moving forward. Moving on to some football. NFL action. Ooh. Justin Tucker joins the club of Deshaun Watson, which is the major, gigantic, fucking weirdo club. Justin Tucker, allegedly, it's because I'm not trying to get sued, was on his Deshaun Watson grind, going to massage parlors and being a massive fucking creep to massage therapists, trying to finesse them for a happy ending. And very weird thing about this is that there was a Twitter account years ago, and I remember at the time seeing the tweets about this, where they talked about how Justin Tucker was banned in every massage parlor in Baltimore. And now years later, the truth finally resurfaces. So I just wanted to add a little section here to, say Justin Tucker, worthless sack of shit, massive fucking creep. Hopefully the Ravens cut ties with him sooner rather than later. Guy's an absolute fucking clown. Piece of shit. Get the fuck out of this league, you piece of garbage. Just needed to throw that in there. Kick some dirt on a guy who is appears to be an abject fucking serial creep. What a fucking loser. Too many instances of this in sports, man. Just too many instances of this in sports. Moving forward. AFC and NFC title games happened recently. And honestly, the thing I couldn't stop thinking about is Josh Allen, who, as I put in my notes here, Josh Allen exclusively sits in the hotel cuck chair. I mean, truly, if you're going to describe, the preeminent cuck of the National Football League, it really is Josh Allen. You see this, dude just constantly, 4 straight times now in the playoffs, getting owned by the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's not even getting owned. Well, it kind of is because he's lost every time. But he usually plays great in these games. And, still, pulling out all the stops. He can't get it done. And truthfully, it's a little unfair of me to say that just Josh Allen is in the cuck chair. Truthfully, the entire AFC, in terms of the elite quarterbacks right now, are in the cuck chair. Except for Joe Burrow. He actually made it to a Super Bowl. So he is excluded from the cuck chair conversation. But Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, you're front seat, bro. You are front seat in a fucking cuck bench in the hotel room for what the Chiefs have been doing these last couple of years. No one has been able to have a legacy in the AFC except for Patrick Mahomes. And listen, I'm a Patriots fan. A lot of people listening to this are probably Patriots fans. I get it. Mahomes gets a lot of glazing. I understand, guys, that it's annoying that Mahomes gets nonstop fucking praise. But truthfully, what he's doing right now, just to call it Jordan-esque, is very accurate. Because it's very special in the way, Michael Jordan, back when he was playing and he won his 6 championships, there were so many teams out in the East that just didn't get to have a proper legacy because of Michael Jordan. The Knicks, those Knicks teams, they should have won at least one title. Nope, absolutely not. I'm Michael Jordan, eat my ass. So many other instances where, you're not allowed to have a legacy because this is my era. This is my era and this is my legacy. I am taking all the winning. I'm going to monopolize the winning. None of you other assholes can have the winning. That is what Pat Mahomes is doing in the AFC. That's what he's doing. Fucking Josh Allen is a Hall of Fame talent at quarterback. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks I've ever seen play the game. Hasn't won jack shit. Justin Herbert, a spectacular talent, hasn't won jack shit. Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest regular season performers of all time. He's one of the probably the best running quarterback to ever do it. No winning. None. And Brady is my GOAT. I will defend Brady as the GOAT until fucking Mahomes wins 7 Super Bowls. But at least when Brady was playing, Manning still won at least a little bit. Like Peyton Manning still won a title there. Like fucking Big Ben still won a title in like 2002 or some shit. Drew Brees got at least one title. No, but he was in the other conference though. And Brady did hold some guys back. Like he stopped Big Ben from probably having 3 or 4 titles. He stopped guys like fucking who am I forgetting out of the AFC right now? Like Peyton Manning would have 3 or 4 championships if not for Brady, obviously. Obviously. That'd be like how it goes. Phillip Rivers never won jack shit because of Tom Brady. That's because of him. But that's what Mahomes is doing. Mahomes has monopolized the winning. No one in the AFC gets to win but him. And I understand why people are fatigued, man. It's pretty crazy for the average NFL fan that you went from 20 years of Tom Brady to immediately Pat Mahomes. You're seeing so frequently the same teams being in the Super Bowl every single year. And I gotta say, the one thing that I will always hold over Pat Mahomes as a Tom Brady fan, as a Tom Brady stan, as a Tom Brady lover, is in the games that mattered, Tom Brady, the GOAT, is 2-0 against Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes would have 5 Super Bowls right now, if not for fucking Tom Brady. He'd be going for Super Bowl, number 6 right now? Because Pat has 3 right now, correct? I believe he has 3. Yeah, he's 3. He's going for his 4th. Pat would be looking to be a 6-time Super Bowl champion right now if not for Tom Brady. That is a objectively true statement. Brady in his later twilight years where he was still extremely good beat Mahomes twice and he curb stomped him in the only Super Bowl they ever played in. The Bucks kicked the fucking Chiefs' teeth in when they played. I can always hold that over him, but hey man, hats off to Pat Mahomes. He's truly, at this point, I'd fucking say he's the 2nd greatest quarterback I've ever seen. I put him above Manning. I would. I put him above Manning. I think Pat Mahomes is the perfect blend of what is exceptional talent combined with intangibles. He has the clutch gene that Brady has with, slightly better, or with better, physical attributes in terms of scrambling. I think their arms are honestly the same. I think Brady's arm is criminally underrated. There was not a single throw that Tom Brady could not make when required, when called upon. But in terms of mobility, Mahomes has that element to this game that Brady never had. But I'd argue that Brady never needed that because his pocket presence is literally the greatest pocket presence that any quarterback has ever had. It's like he had fucking telepathy in the pocket. He knew where everyone was without even looking at him. He had 5 eyes stapled onto his head. Everyone, thank you so much for joining this episode of Endless Ranting. That's going to do it for me. You can find me on Twitter at Hogdale_. You can find this podcast on Twitch, where we stream it live every Friday in the evening. Time isn't specific. I'd say probably 7 p.m. EST is usually the average. I'll say 7 p.m. EST. You can find us here. Have yourselves a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for joining. Love y'all. Have a good one. Bye.